What's up, guys? It's Jared here with the Cam Man Podcast. I'm joined by AZ Birds, also known as Andrew.
Hi.
Today we're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite movies of all time. Yep. This list will consist of a lot of stuff, I'd say. Not just one genre for any of us.
Yeah, we're gonna go as like Jared's gonna read his number 10. I'll read my 10. He'll read his 9. I'll read my 9, and so on.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of the movies on here will have that are the similar, but we'll see.
All right. So I guess we might as well just start. My number 10, I believe I also have on a different list we're going to be doing, which is overrated movies. That's Fight Club. Kind of an interesting movie.
Alright.
Yeah, I feel like it's too, I don't know, like too many people overhype it. And it's not as good as people say it is. But it's still a good movie. So, I had to put Fight Club in my favorite movies.
Alright, what's your reasoning for putting it in there, though?
I enjoy the movie. It's interesting. Especially
Sounds
going...
like this list was hard for you to make.
Well, it's an interesting movie to go back and watch after you know how it goes.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
That and I had to kick a movie off. So, I decided to include Fight Club as kind of a last-minute addition to the list.
Alright, well, my number 10 is I had to think. I know Star Wars movies made this list, and I was very close to putting Elf, because I like Christmas movies, but then I was like, no, I don't really like Elf that much. So I just put like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Yeah, I don't really talk about Harry Potter movies that much, but I do really like them. I remember seeing that one in theater specifically. It's so much better just because it's the very last movie, or it's the very last Harry Potter movie, and you know how, what was it, like 10 years before that movie, they were all just little kids when they were in the Sorcerer's Stone. Now they're all grown up, and you know, they have their final battle. You think Harry's dead, and he's not, and that big, I was gonna call it like a wand fight, but I'm sure there's a better name for it, between Voldemort and Harry. It's just a very good movie. That's the only movie I'm not gonna have a good explanation for. I was struggling for a 10.
Oh, so I see you were jumping on me for not having a great explanation.
I gave more explanation than you did though about why I picked it. Yours was I picked Fight Club because I enjoyed it. I'm sure you enjoy a lot of movies.
Yeah, I would say I do enjoy a lot of movies.
Next.
I'll get to it.
Number 9.
Number 9. Number 9. You kind of brought this movie up, and it was when I was moving around positions. And I said I didn't want to include it because you brought it up, and it seems like I just added it because you brought it up. But like I said, if you like a movie in its top 10, then you kind of just got to add it, and that's Scream.
Oh yeah, I meant, yeah. If for those of you who don't know, well, none of you I guess would know.
Yeah.
I was telling Jared earlier about how I saw Scream for the first time a couple days ago.
Yeah, but like I said, you know, if you like the movie, then you gotta put it on the list. If it's up there. And I would say I like it more than Fight Club, so I put it at 9. when I was adjusting and everything. So, big part of this movie is I find all the characters enjoyable. Especially that end sequence with Matthew Lillard, and just how crazy he acts throughout the movie. Some of the things he does.
He was actually my least favorite part of the movie.
I'm feeling woozy here.
Well, mainly because I hated the Scooby-Doo movies, and
I forgot that he was
Lillard.
even in those movies.
And Matthew Lillard was Shaggy Rogers.
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, the whole everyone's a suspect. You don't. I mean, if you've seen it, you know. But like first time watching it, that you can't replicate that experience of everyone's supposed to be a suspect. Although you kind of know.
Yeah, you do.
Like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. At least
I just didn't expect there to be two different killers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's obvious you got one, but if you don't expect there to be two, that's surprising. And I feel like if you're not expecting that second killer, then that's a interesting twist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alright, my number 9 is Die Hard. And I've only seen it once. That was, I think it was earlier this year. And the main reason I liked it is because it just takes place in that one spot. Basically the whole entire movie, it just takes place in Nakatomi Tower. And it's just all these terrorists trying to catch John, or I'd probably say Bruce Willis, while he's up in the tower. And I like the part where he takes it, he kills some of them, sends them down the elevator, and writes ho 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 all over them. I like how he gets a good relationship with the cop, and the end, or not the end scene, but the when he sends the big main villain off of the guy who plays Snape in Harry Potter, he drops him off of the building. It's just it's an overall good movie. There's a lot of good action in it too, for sure.
Yeah.
It's something about it made me like it more than other action movies.
Alright, we on to number 8, or more you want to say?
Yes.
Alright. Number 8. I got Psycho, and I feel like if you like horror movies, this is a movie that it kind of starts the genre, arguably. Of course, it's by Alfred Hitchcock. Well, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Well known for the shower scene, which, for those you didn't know, they didn't even have to use like red corn syrup or anything. They just used chocolate syrup because it was black and white. And that was just to save money. Like at the time, there was color movies. But that's kind of a movie. If you like horror movies, you gotta respect that movie for what it gave to the genre. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'd say Psycho is one of my favorite movies, because you could arguably say it started the genre, while still being a movie that you can look back at today and say it was a good movie and could still watch and find entertaining.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Diggy. What the?
What?
Diggs just caught a ball. I dropped for a possession catch. He then rolled through 2 defenders, got up, and started running again.
None of this is gonna make sense if you don't use Madden footage in your video.
Oh, I will use Madden footage.
Alright, next up on my list is the original Spider-Man movie. Starring Tobey Maguire. And oh god, what's his name? Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. And I was rewatching it one weekend during the school year, and I forgot how much I really liked that movie. How 3 seconds. But how they played out Uncle Ben's death. How Peter could have stopped the burglar, but he didn't. He actually helped the burglar escape, and then that guy ended up killing Uncle Ben. The relationship between Peter and Mary Jane. How you just like all in every like adaptation ever, you have Peter who's friends with Norman Osborn in real life, but then the Green Goblin's trying to kill him. And there's this one scene I was talking about. I've mentioned this before, where the Green Goblin is attacking these people that are trying to take over Oscorp, and oh god, it's so bad. He throws one of his pumpkin bombs at the guys, and no joke, they turn into CGI skeletons.
Yeah, that's kind of odd.
Like, who thought that was gonna look cool? But even with that major, it didn't look cool at all. Even with that major flaw, that I'm pointing out and that I hate, it's still number 8 on my list because it's one of the first superhero movies I can remember watching. I love the Green Goblin's performance in the movie.
Yeah.
And the end scene, where Spider-Man does a backflip and avoids the glider, which ends up impaling Green Goblin. Green Goblin attacking Aunt May, being able to see Norman Osborn just go completely crazy with his bipolar abilities.
Yeah.
I don't like James Franco. I just like James Franco in general. Now, Spider-Man 3 is not on my movie list, and I did like James Franco much more in that movie. I still like how scary, how he likes Jane. He's kind of aware that his dad's crazy, but he just doesn't really want to admit it.
Yeah.
So, so it's my favorite superhero movie. It's my favorite Marvel movie. It's not my favorite. We'll figure it out.
Well, thanks for already talking about it.
Well, now I get to hear your explanation.
Well,
Was it in the same exact spot?
No. Well, it was at number 8 for you. I already said mine, so it can't be in the same exact spot. And it's not number 7.
Well.
It's higher than
that. Oh, what is your number 7?
My number 7?
Yeah.
Number 7 is the original Mighty Ducks. We're not going with no sequels.
I still haven't seen that movie.
Oh, well, for the youths that have seen Mighty Ducks, it's about a lawyer that is forced to coach a youth hockey team because he got pulled over and got a DUI, and they made him coach a hockey team that sucked. And then they became good. He got
they good.
He got one of the best players from the rival Hawks transferred to his team. The Cake Eater.
Oh. The Cake Eater?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They call him the Cake Eater because he played for the rich team. And then, the Ducks become a good team. It, of course, takes place in Minnesota.
Oh.
Who doesn't like a movie that takes place in Minnesota?
Let's go, baby! Let's go!
You don't.
So what's your reason for liking the movie?
Well, like I said, for one, it takes place in Minnesota. 2, it's about hockey, and I like hockey. And it's just a movie I seen early on, so yeah. It's combining one of my favorite sports with my favorite state. I kind of just...
Alright, well,
I got an audience.
my number 7, all we do is a van.
No, not just Van.
My number 7 is The Breakfast Club So that's I think the oldest movie on this list. I don't know which one's older between Die Hard and The Breakfast Club. Both 80s movies, I think it's Breakfast Club. And this is a movie when I first saw it a couple years back. I watched it over and over again because I just really liked how it's a movie. I'll give a summary like we've been doing. It's just a movie about a bunch of high schoolers that are in detention, and they're all different kinds. There's the jock, the outcast, the burner, I'd call him, the troubled kid, the nerd, and they're all in detention for their different reasons. Oh, and there's the prom queen. Forgot about the prom queen. So the pretty girl, and it's just about how they all are in detention together, and you wouldn't think they'd be able to bond, but you know. There's the trust, or I don't know if that we call it the trust circle, but when they're all sitting in a circle, and they're revealing that they all have their own problems, and they're not so different from each other, and they have that dancing scene, and the couples get together and all that, and there's a good soundtrack, you know. Don't you forget it? Yeah, it's an overall great movie. So that's all I got. All I gotta say about it. Again, much like Die Hard, though, it mainly takes place in one location. Pretty much the whole movie is just in that detention room.
Yeah.
Your turn. Number 6?
Yes, we are on number 6.
Alright.
I had to go for a play to try and move up field. We only got 2 seconds left till half. But
You're number 6.
Number 6. Number 6 is Iron Man, the original one, Iron Man 1.
Okay.
Yep. What are you judging it?
No, I was just saying.
Not
no.
you. You don't think it's a good movie?
You should clarify who you're talking to.
I'm talking to Van.
Well, I mean, for people who are watching this.
Oh, I'm talking to this little guy troll from Hermantown.
Kind of weird looking.
Yeah, Andrew says he's kind of weird looking.
Yeah, so he isn't like Iron Man?
Well, I can't tell. It seemed like he didn't, but now he's saying he does. I don't know.
Well, what's your reason for liking Iron Man?
Well, I like superhero movies. It kind of started the MCU.
It did. It was the first movie in the MCU.
Yeah. That long. 10 years of movies. And I think it was a good way to start it. Telling this story of Iron Man creating his first suit after being kidnapped by those terrorists and escaping. And then... Why are you just trying to cause problems? Anyway, as I was saying... As I was saying...
As you were saying...
As I was saying, where was I? All flustered. What?
You're talking about Iron Man.
I know I was talking about Iron Man. What? Started it all. As I was saying though, he escapes from those terrorists, and after creating that first suit, and then you go through its, I would say it's a good movie for starting the entire MCU. Imagine you started on like the first Hulk movie or something like that. I think it was a good starting point, and it helped the MCU get off to a start like it did, and be able to go 10 years. Because if you start with a different movie, There's not a guarantee that you get 10 years out of it. So it was a good starting place. And I don't think is Endgame on your list?
No.
Okay. Well, it's not on mine either. And then you end it with Iron Man dying. So the 10 years came full circle. And now we can go back and we can watch Robert Downey Jr. joining the MCU.
For clarification, he meant in Endgame Iron Man dies.
Yeah,
not
no,
in the
Iron
first
Man doesn't die in the first Iron Man, no. That doesn't happen. We still got 2 movies after that of Iron Man and multiple movies of the Avengers of him to be in. Yeah, a little early for him to die. No, that doesn't happen. But you can go back and you can watch Iron Man 1 where it all started, and then watch up to, if you're just watching, even if you're just watching movies that RDJs, and you can watch up to Endgame, and you see it all come full circle and finally kick in the bucket. What?
Is your dad in the room?
Oh, spoiler alert, I guess.
The movie's been out for a couple months now.
Andrew says it's been out a couple months. It's okay. We're good. I'll make sure I say
fans.
What?
Especially for people watching.
Yeah.
The spoiler warning only works for a little bit.
Yeah. I better give a spoiler warning for every movie from now on. They're all pretty old. They're all at least 10 years old.
Huh. Alright, mine is actually an animated film because, yeah, artsy.
What? Oh, well, he was talking about me dying.
Still.
About me dying. About Iron Man dying.
Still.
He was saying that movie's been out for months, though. So they've had their time to see him.
Wait, did he actually not know?
What? No, he knew.
Okay,
we see
good,
it.
good.
Yeah.
Alright, good. I was like, if you actually... Wait, hold on. Wait, why is Jared Culver wearing 23? That's LeBron's number. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We're still doing the live stream.
Yeah.
Um...
Your number, 6?
Yeah, it's an animated movie. I got The Nightmare Before Christmas on here.
Okay.
And I argue with my mom that this is a Disney movie. Because Disney is who made it.
Yeah.
It was just released under a different platform because it might be too scary for kids. This is one of those movies where I was about to say don't think it's a Christmas movie, but it kind of is a Christmas movie. I mean, besides the title, kind of like Die Hard. I mean, there's a big part of this movie. You know, I'll just explain. So, you got that whole opening intro. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. And it just shows off. It's just literally Tim Burton flexing all of his great stop motion skills. And it's a nice catchy song. It's a little creepy. And it ends with a giant pumpkin person getting burnt alive. And then when he rises up from his little coffin or whatever, I haven't seen the movie in a while, it reveals to be Jack Skellington. So he's the Pumpkin King. He's like the main person in the little Halloween town they live in. And the place where Jack lives is just all about Halloween. Like, that's it. They talk about how there's this little circle in the woods, and every tree leads to a different holiday area. Well, Jack ends up getting sick of Halloween, and he goes to the Christmas Village one, and he ends up learning about Santa Claus. And so he stays there for a while, then the whole area comes looking for Jack. Jack brings Christmas over to Halloweenville. And overall, so while the story is very good too, the main thing that I really like about the movie is the animation.
Yeah.
And how the movie was made in the 90s, and so was Toy Story. But Toy Story wasn't stop motion. And how well it looks, and it's so obvious when you're watching. Like, it's clear. It's not so good that you wouldn't know it's stop motion. It's very obviously stop motion, but it just looks so good. The score is really nice. I do really like the idea of the Halloween town and the Christmas town area, and overall, I just think it's a fantastic movie and the best animated movie of all time. And it's so, I have no other animated movies on my list. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's my number 6.
I don't think I have a single animated movie on my list.
I was gonna add another one, but it would have been like at 10 or something. But I didn't add any. So, wait, what's my
Which
number
one?
5 even?
What's my number 5?
What? No, what were you just gonna say right there?
I was gonna say, what would have that animated movie been?
I don't know. I was thinking of one of like the old Batman animated movies, but I didn't remember enough about them to give like a good summary.
What'd you say?
I said sausage party.
Oh, my dad thought it would have been Sausage Party.
So I've only seen bits and pieces of the Sausage Party.
His number one movie is Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Oh, God! It probably is.
What?
Oh, I'll make the joke when we get to number 1.
No. What do you say?
Your number one movie's gotta be Beverly Hills Chihuahuas.
No, I hate that movie.
Oh, he must have thought
Shockingly.
you liked it because you're infatuated with Chihuahuas, according to him.
Oh, well, I like the main Chihuahua. Like, I like the one that looks just like Ruby.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the movie's weird.
He likes the one that looks like Ruby. That makes sense.
Okay, what's your number 5?
Number 5, have to have
Yeah.
seen this movie at least 100 times. But number 5 is Little Big League.
Okay, I've seen it a couple times. I don't remember much of it.
Number 1.
What?
How is it not number 1?
Little Big League?
Yeah.
It's not even top. Well, it's top 5, but it's not.
It's not even top 5.
It's not. It's not even top 3. There's no. Little Big League, for all that you don't know, it's the story of a kid that's grandpa owns the Minnesota Twins. His grandpa ends up dying the night they were supposed to go see, I believe it was Roger Clemens pitch for the Red Sox. He died, and his will, he gives his favorite thing in the world, the Minnesota Twins, to his grandson Billy. Then Billy goes on to own the Twins. He fires the manager because O'Farrell's a dick. Yeah, O'Farrell's a dick. Everyone knows that. Fires O'Farrell, takes over as manager, almost leads the Twins to the playoffs, gets them on a hot streak, but then they run into Randy Johnson, Ken Griffey Jr., and the Seattle Mariners. I was going to throw a few more names in there, but no. The Seattle Mariners and fictional player Lou Collins, because all the Twins were fictional players, but the rest of the teams were real. Lou Collins comes up to the plate after he told Billy he was going to marry his mom, and Billy said you have to hit a home run. Then he said you didn't. Well, guess what, Billy? You should have said he had to hit a home run. And then Lou goes deep. It's at the wall. Griffey Jr. robs it. Twins miss the playoffs. The crowd calls out Billy for a curtain call. No, why are you calling out this loose-ass manager? Can't make the playoffs. Yep. I love the movie because, of course, like I said, with Mighty Ducks, it takes place in Minnesota. I like movies in Minnesota. Uses the actual Metrodome. At the beginning, there's a lot of baseball trivia they bring up, like Bobby Thompson hits a home run. Giants win the pennant. Who was on deck? A young man by the name of Willie Mays. Who was the first black player to play in the major leagues? Not Jackie Robinson. I believe it was Fleetwood Walker, or something like that. Played for Toledo. Dale did a whole thing on Fleetwood Walker because he thought that guy was so entertaining. I said, "You didn't know about him till now?" And he said, "No." And I said, "So you've watched Little Big League and you've never heard of him?" And he said, "Yep." I was like, I don't know how that happened, but all right. Yeah. But I like that the movie takes place in Minnesota. The use of actual teams. I wonder how they did that, the use of the actual teams. Like, did they just film with those teams when a team was playing the Twins? Like, what did they do?
Oh, so it was like the real Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, like, it was actually Ken Griffey Jr., Randy Johnson, like, Pudge Rodriguez is in it. Like, it's the actual players just interacting with these actors playing players for the Twins. Like one of the second baseman or the shortstop, I believe it was second baseman. So the shortstop was Mickey Scales, if I remember right. The second baseman actually did play baseball, if I remember right, and then one of the relief pitchers actually played baseball. But like other than that, like they were all just actors that they had come and play baseball, and I like how they did that, and then just got like Wally Joyner and all those guys to just interact with them, and it was I feel like it was a seamless job of integrating actors with the actual teams and the actual stadiums they used, because they used the Metrodome. They used I believe it would have been called Comiskey Park at the time in Chicago. Would have been before it was U.S. Cellular and all that, which it was Comiskey. Nobody's gonna tell me I'm wrong. I know I'm right. It was Comiskey before it was U.S. Cellular. It was like Comiskey 3 or something. They used Yankee Stadium, but yeah, like all their like it was. I feel like it was such a good job of integrating the players with the actors, all the real stadiums. I just wonder how they did it. I've never been able to find out, like, were they recording where the Twins were they just reaching out to teams to record, like what was going on there? Like that's something I want to really find out, is how they got that tall fit together.
All right, so my turn.
Yeah.
My number 5, it was gonna be higher, but I couldn't just because of kind of how short it was and low budget. Number 5 is Saw.
Your number 5 is Saw.
Is that your number 5?
That's my number. Remember, I go before you, so I've already said my number.
Oh, I'm so dumb.
Saw is my number 4. So I suppose we can just kind of talk about it right now.
All right. Well, what I like about Saw, again, how... Okay, well, sure, the reason it's not higher on my list is because how low of a budget it had. That's also kind of what makes it special, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about it, is how low of a budget it had and how well it worked with that budget.
They didn't have that much money to work with. I mean, the guy who played Adam wrote the movie.
Yeah.
Or was one of the writers of the movie.
Yeah.
And it started the franchise that isn't that good in my opinion, but entertaining all the way through. But yeah, it was a start. I did think they got a little too complicated with explaining the past, but you know, the Jigsaw Killer himself, John Kramer, played by Tobin Bell.
Yep.
Yes, play your favorite, least favorite villain.
Yeah.
He
he's so slimy.
A very yes, and I do like the escape room and how every movie brings something different.
Mm-hmm.
How they could have reused all those traps in every movie if they wanted to, but they didn't. And I just like how there was so much different ways that they could have escaped. Obviously, if you know, at the beginning of the movie, if you're paying attention when Adam's waking up from the bathtub he was sleeping in, which just question mark, how did he not die before the movie started? But
I know. How do you not drown?
But when he wakes up, you'll notice that a key fell into the drain.
I'm just gonna say, John Kramer did kill Adam. How is Adam supposed to get that key?
Yeah, so basically, this whole movie, they're showing different. I'm not gonna talk about the side story with that weird guy who's like the apprentice to John Kramer or something.
Yeah.
Because that was weird, especially with him being like a child predator, because he was in that little girl's room. But more so about just that, you know, you're trying to figure out who this Jigsaw Killer is and how they can get rid of the chains. They find a saw and a hacksaw, and when the chains doesn't work, I forgot what the guy's name, but the other guy in the room with Adam, the doctor, uses it to actually cut his foot off. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's progressively bleeding out throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And at the very end, once he starts crawling away, he's like, he's gonna go get help. Adam's just in the room by him. Oh yeah, I should have Zeph, the guy that was trying to be like John Kramer. So he ends up attacking them. Adam ends up killing Zepp. So then Adam's just sitting there kind of bleeding after the fights, and you know, it's I don't think in the movie they didn't reveal that the doctor died while he was crawling away. But anyway, he's crawling away, probably not going to come back. So Adam's just in there.
The doctor didn't die when he crawled away, though.
Oh yeah, I forgot he ended up surviving.
Yeah, he ends up becoming, if you've seen the later movies, becomes an apprentice to Jigsaw.
Oh yeah. But though there was a dead body from the very beginning. There was a apparent suicide body laying there that had the tape recorders.
Yeah.
Turns out it's not a dead body, and the body just rises up while the music's progressively getting louder and louder. And apparently, Kramer like took some kind of drug that would put him to sleep for a little bit. Or not for a little bit, for a couple hours. Either way, he rises up. And,
amazing twist.
Yeah, amazing twist while Adam's screaming, and then he's telling him, "Oh, you know, the keys to your chains were in the tub."
I mean, because he actually killed him. Like, he couldn't have gotten that key.
And then while Adam is still screaming, you know, Kramer says, "Game over," and shuts the door on him, leaving him to die.
I mean, yeah, like that door slam kind of became a thing throughout the series.
Oh yeah, it did. Is that how Saw 2 ended also?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe most of them ended like with that door slam, or at least had it once. I mean, I think mostly why I like Saw and the movies following it in the series is because of Tobin Bell. I think he played John Kramer perfectly, making him so sleazy that you hated him, and yeah, just he didn't kill anyone though.
That's right. He didn't kill them. They killed themselves.
Yeah, they didn't have the will to live. Like, that's not his fault. Yeah, I suppose we move on to your number 4 movie though, since we just covered mine at the same time as we covered your 5.
Well, my number 4. Oh god, terrible pass. My number 4 is I guess I'll put 22 Jump Street on here. I know. You're thinking of all the movies we've been talking about. Masterpieces, films that are often regarded as some of the best of all time. And then yes, yeah, you heard that right, 22 Jump Street. I'm not saying this because it was excellent cinematography or it's just a hilarious movie. Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are so awesome in it. There's so many moments that make me like piss my pants laughing. I can sit down and watch it whenever it's on, and yeah, I love it much more than any movie I've already named, because unlike a movie that makes me feel like I have to pay attention, really focus, I could just have it on the background while I'm like playing on my phone or playing games, and I can still love it.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say for it.
yeah, it's not a movie that you have to take serious or watch all of it. Like, you can kind of sit there, just, I agree with you. Like, I wouldn't, you know, it's obviously not on my list, but yeah, just those movies where you can just sit there, be on your phone, and still know what's going on. Great.
I was gonna put 21 Jump Street in here, but no. I like it. I like them both, but 22 just is a lot more special to me. Okay, now you're number 3.
Alright, my number 3, my list turned off, so I gotta pull it back up. Oh, my number 3, Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. Of course,
okay,
that is the 7th movie in the series, I want to say. Of course, Wes Craven's A New Nightmare is supposed to be a Nightmare on Elm Street film that takes place in real life. That, like, being, Freddy's supposed to be, like, a demon or something, though, that, like, where he was held back by Robert Englund playing him in the films, and he ends up coming out and attacking Nancy Thompson, aka Heather Langenkamp in real life, and her son in the movie kills her husband in the movie. I feel like it's one of my favorite in the series, just because I like how it's played on real life and brings back those characters that you remember from all the movies. Robert Englund, of course, Freddy Krueger in every movie except for the remake. Heather Langenkamp, Nancy Thompson in the first and third one. John Saxon. I can't think of his first name, but he was Nancy's dad in the movies. I like seeing all those guys as real people. Well, obviously not the real life, but like as real people in the film. And then you got Freddy's revamped look going around and killing people. So that's my third favorite movie. Not my favorite in the series, but my third favorite movie.
Alright, well, see, my third favorite movie is, so it's my favorite horror movie of all time. And, that would be, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The original, that is, not the 2010 remake. Obviously. And, let's see, this is an old movie. So it's an old slasher movie. It's not, I was gonna say it's not as iconic, I shouldn't say it like that, but, it wasn't the movie that started slasher, that would be probably, that'd be Halloween, well, I guess Psycho too, but I'm gonna give it to Halloween, especially when it came to the villain was, but we're not talking about Halloween. Texas Chainsaw. What I like about this movie is it brought something different. Well, you had movies like Psycho and Halloween again, that just revolved around just silent killers with knives. Leatherface was different. He was a big hulking figure with, a mask over his face. Looks like Michael Myers. With a mask over his face. Yeah, he didn't just use a knife, he used a hammer, he used a meat hook, he used a chainsaw, obviously. And so he brought a different approach to the movie. And something about it, back then, I don't know if people really would be able to understand that it wasn't really based on a true story.
Yeah, it had its elements, but wasn't completely based on a true story, because what is that they say is.
But, it was kind of realistic to me, saying that, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and these teenagers, even though, well, they're trying to visit an old family home because they heard of some grave robbing, but they go to a different home for some reason. I don't really remember why.
Oh, they ran out of gas. So they.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, okay, I couldn't put two and two together. They did run out of gas. Yeah, I forgot that's why they went to that house. So they stopped to a random house because what else are they supposed to do?
Yeah.
And you would never believe this. The house they believe in. the house they believe in. Yeah, the house that they find has cannibals in it.
Yeah.
I know, of all houses. So, is that the most realistic thing? No, but people finding an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere containing crazy people. I don't know if you ever played Red Dead Redemption. But yeah, who cares about the other cannibals? We're mainly here, Leatherface, who, just starts killing people, and then, you got that final chase. Where the main chick in the movie, she's indestructible because she kept falling out of shit and hurting herself. And I mean, Leatherface, I get it, isn't the fastest dude in the world, but somehow she still escaped him. And she just barely escaped him. She had to jump into the back of a truck. And as she's laughing, Leatherface starts running around in circles with his chainsaw flying all over the place. which that's an iconic scene. So overall, I just like this movie because it brought something different to the slasher genre for being a 70s movie. How it was so controversial that it had to get banned in a lot of countries, yet to this day it's seen as one of the most influential movies, and for having, in my opinion, the best horror villain of all time. So that's my number 3 movie.
Yeah. My number 2, as long as you're ready to move on, like, I don't want to cut you off. Yeah. My number 2 you talked about earlier, it was lower on your list. It's my favorite superhero movie of all time. That being the original Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi one. It's my favorite superhero movie of all time because Spider-Man's my favorite superhero of all time. It's the first Spider-Man movie we finally got. So for me, it's just, you know, the combination of it being my favorite superhero in the first movie, that him finally getting onto the big screen, that makes it my favorite superhero movie, my second favorite movie of all time. And I guess to extend this out, because you already talked about the movie, for you that didn't know, it was delayed a few months from being released because in the original movie they had Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, whatever you want to call him, hanging a web across from the 2 Twin Tower buildings. And of course the movie came out around the time 9/11 happened. So they had to delay that, and in the reshoots, that's where you get more of the we are New Yorkers, you don't screw with us mentality from the movie. So if you want to talk about your number 2, because you already talked about Spider-Man.
Alright, well, my number 2 is another superhero movie. It's Logan. And I believe that would be the most recent film on this list. And so I haven't been a big fan of the X-Men movies. And I think they're all bad, except, you know, the one saving part besides Magneto is Hugh Jackman's performance as Wolverine. And I always wondered, they did 2 solo movies. They did X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was bad, and the Wolverine, which I remember seeing in theaters, did not like it at all. That was terrible. Except Wolverine. You know, Wolverine isn't bad. Anyway, it's Logan many years later. Logan is Wolverine's name, for those that don't know. Logan, many years later, he's finally aging. He's not just that, you know, just mid-age looking guy. No, he's looking older. He looks like he's slowing down. He's dying. And speaking of dying, Professor X is clearly dying. They explain that he suffered because, you know, Professor X has a really powerful mind, that he suffered some kind of breakdown that caused a lot of mutants to die. So Wolverine, Professor X, Wolverine's daughter, which ends up being revealed later in the movie, and Caliban, just some pale dude that's with Wolverine, are the only mutants alive. Wolverine lives in this isolated little house that looks kind of like he made it. And, you know, that's where him, Caliban, and Professor X live. Professor X has to stay in a little bed because he's clearly sick. Looks like amnesia. And, yeah, you know, at first Wolverine's not accepting of his daughter that he didn't know he had. But he ends up growing to really like her after, you know, Professor X likes her. And they're being hunted down by this government group that wants to not only kill Wolverine, but take the girl from Wolverine. And probably kill her. But the best scene in the movie, or maybe the second best scene in the movie, is when they find a little family's house to stay at. And it shows Wolverine, and this ends up being a clone, but you don't know that at first. It shows a clone of Wolverine kill Professor X, and yes, Professor X actually died in that scene. Kill Professor X, kill the family that was taking care of them, the nice family. I think it was a mom, a dad, a teenage son, and a younger sister. Yeah, he slaughters them all. And I don't think you see the little one die, but you see the rest of them die. And yeah, eventually the real Wolverine tries putting a stop to it. It doesn't work, so now it's just Wolverine and the girl all by themselves. They find like a little area where a bunch of other young mutants live. So I guess, or isolated kids. I don't remember if they were all mutants, but it was a lot of runaway kids. And they end up fighting those government people, but it ends with Wolverine's clone impaling Wolverine, the real one, on a stick, and that kills him. So it was one of those movies where you kind of knew Wolverine was going to die, but he still didn't. But this movie finally brought something that we never got to see on the screens. Wolverine using his claws to actually kill people, and not have a pussy blood knocking out of people. No, he actually with his claws. And yeah, it was just the best Wolverine movie. I know I said Iron Man was the best Marvel movie. I don't know what I was talking about earlier. Logan is undoubtedly my favorite movie, even though Marvel didn't make it. You know, maybe they did. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I might be wrong there. But yeah, it was just an overall amazing movie with a great ending too. When Wolverine's daughter turns the cross, she tilts it on Wolverine's grave, so it makes an X, and that's how the film ends. So yeah, what's your number one?
Alright. I think you already know what my number one favorite movie is.
Yeah, but maybe they don't, and I'd like to hear. I've never heard you really explain why it's your favorite.
My number one favorite movie of all time is, of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Oh, is it really?
No.
I didn't know. Is it? I was so confused.
That is probably my second least favorite in the series, behind Nightmare on Elm Street 6, Freddy's Dead. That is a horrible movie. Nothing's worse than that.
Alright.
My favorite movie is actually A Nightmare on Elm Street. Just A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's not what it's called. I mean just the original one. Just in case someone thought it was actually called Just a Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's my favorite movie because it's probably the first horror movie I've seen. Possibly. I seen it when I was like really young. I mean, it had to be like when I was like 5 or so. At least.
Okay.
And it's just what I remember, like, I would say horror movies are my favorite genre, and it's what got me into them, and it's hard to explain, like, I just love the movie because it's what got me into my favorite genre, and without it, I don't know where I would be, because, it's stupid to say, where would I be without seeing a movie, but really, if I didn't see that movie when I was younger, like, there's a lot I probably, wouldn't have looked at as, like, the Saw series, movies that were, on this list, like the Saw series, A Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Psycho, Scream, the horror movies on this list. Like, do I ever watch those without the first Nightmare on Elm Street? And, of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite horror movie series. It's the first one in the series. It kicks off it all. It gives you the beginnings of Freddy Krueger. In terms of the protagonist or final girl, I guess even the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 has a final girl. But in terms of all the final girls in the series, I'd say Nancy Thompson is my favorite. Main reason why Wes Craven's The New Nightmares ranks so high is because I love the first movie and it brings back all those characters. Heather Langenkamp is Nancy Thompson, John Saxon in there, just some of my favorite characters from movies all time are in this movie. And of course my favorite horror movie villain, Freddy Krueger's in this movie. And all that just coming together and bringing all these great actresses and actors into one movie, a great series, to me, all around just coming together and starting all in this place and making me as a person, I would say. And that's why A Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite movie of all time.
Okay, well, speaking of making you as a person, one of the things that I really like in movies is, I like silent, well, maybe not silent, but more characters that are, like, scary without the use of jump scares. So Leatherface, that contradicts me saying Leatherface is the best, but It's not the point. Someone that is scary without really looking that scary, and just so happens to be the villain of my favorite Batman. Oh my god, of my favorite superhero, Batman. Yeah. Um, you know, so the Joker is my favorite comic book character of all time, and I'm sure when the actual Joker movie comes out, it's gonna be one of my favorite movies. But until then, I still have to remember the movie that really made me see the Joker in a different way, and of course, I'm talking about The Dark Knight. Not the original Batman with Michael Keaton, because I think that movie's terrible. No, the one with Christian Bale as Batman, Heath Ledger as the Joker, and Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon. You got Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face. This movie is great for different reasons. One, I know a lot of people say Christian Bale's the best Batman, not like he has much competition. I actually do not like Christian Bale in this movie. I do think that his performance is annoying. I don't like how he always has to talk like this. Like, I get it, but for anyone that's ever played one of the Batman Arkham games, you would know that Batman never makes his voice different. So I just think it's kind of stupid. But it's not Batman that really makes the film for me. It's the Joker. I'm not going to read through the quotes right now, but Joker has so many memorable lines in here, you know, from how he's talking about the reason he uses a knife, because then you really get to see someone in their true form in their last moments instead of just shooting them. Revealing how he got his scars, you know, let's put a smile on that face. When the unstoppable force meets the immovable object, and obviously, why so serious? Heath Ledger's performance is my favorite acting performance in any movie ever. I have a poster, or not a poster, a picture of the Joker, of Heath Ledger's Joker in his jail cell, looking at Batman above my bed. It's a bit altered, but yeah. Yeah, I love this movie so much, and not just because of the Joker. I mean, it's also because of Two-Face, what I think is the most underrated character in this movie. Because I wouldn't say it's Jim Gordon, because he's in all those movies. It's Two-Face because of the way that they executed him, you know, going crazy. They presented him off as a friend of Batman's, but as someone that was also dating in a relationship. You know, he was a rival of Batman, of Bruce Wayne, because, you know, Bruce has a crush on, you know, Rachel, as Batman will call her, and Harvey's dating Rachel. And eventually, for those of you who've never seen the movie, the whole reason Two-Face becomes Two-Face is because Joker finds a way to tie up Harvey Dent, Two-Face's real name, in one building and Rachel in another. And he gives, and while Batman's doing the interrogation scene in the Joker's interrogation room while he's in the jail, he reveals the two locations. So Batman's like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the address where Rachel's at, and he sends Commissioner Gordon to go to the address where Harvey's at. Well, Joker, being the Joker, switched up the addresses, so Batman actually went to go save Harvey Dent. And the best scene that Two-Face is in is when he's sitting there trying to plead for Batman not to save him and to save Rachel instead. And just as Batman's taking Two-Face out of the building, it explodes. And before that, Two-Face fell in some acid that was just laying on the floor because, you know, movies. But yeah, so Rachel ends up dying. Two-Face has so much anger over his girlfriend dying. Just over now that he's altered, he's like, well, now I can just get revenge on people for what they've done to me. And overall, just the whole atmosphere. I didn't really like the end of it, but the scene where Joker has the two boats, one full of innocent passengers and one full of a bunch of inmates, and they can choose either to blow one of each other up, or Joker will just blow them both up. I think that's a brilliant scene. Just overall, and the whole bank robbery scene at the beginning, where he says, what doesn't kill you makes you stranger. You know, there's just so many great moments in this movie, and Heath Ledger goes down as my favorite acting performance playing the Joker in this movie, and it sticks with me the most. So, yes, The Dark Knight is my favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
So, are you gonna explain to them the next one we're gonna do, the next episode?
Yeah, the next episode we'll be doing is our top 10 most overrated movies of all time. Some of these movies from this list may go over there. Some of your favorite might be on my list. Some of my favorite might be on your list. Some of, maybe our own will be on our list, You never know what stuff's gonna rank. I mean, you can like a movie but still think it's overrated. So,
True.
yeah, that'll be the next episode. As I end this every time, if you want to add me on PlayStation, it's Mr. Easy 11. Don't add AZ Birds. That's my parting words. See ya.